So, we followed the yellow brick road all the way to the Emerald City to ask the most important question of the day. Fuck, marry, kill, date the Scarecrow, Tin Man, the Wizard, or the Cowardly Lion. Guys, I'll throw it over to you.
Welcome to It's a Wonderful Podcast. I'm gonna keep the show nice and professional, as opposed to Nolan's filth and smut that he plans on bringing every single week. No, I'm only kidding. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to It's a Wonderful Podcast. I am Morgan Robinson. That is Nolan Dean. Joining us again for the second time in Musical March is Rachel Silvestrini. Hello.
Hello, everyone. How is everyone's day today?
Cold.
Better now
wet.
for that question that Nolan posed in the intro.
You know what, though? It's cold and wet here in LA. I mean, I
it is
use
pretty cold and
LA
wet.
terms for cold, but it is wet. It is a little chilly, and it is raining.
Cold and wet in
I
LA
slipped
or
on my
summer.
arse when I was carrying shopping back today.
Oh, that's not nice.
No, don't walk on grass when it's been raining in
Were you in-
Scotland. It's
No.
Were you in public? Were there people around? Did people point and laugh?
the old ladies from the flat across the road were giving me some looks.
Oh, understandable. The old ladies can be cruel, as we all know from our old lady interactions. Very cruel people. No, that's not true at all. Old ladies tend to be sweet. That's all.
I
love
can't wait
each
to
other.
be an old crotchety lady.
You're an old crotchety lady now, though, aren't you? So,
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I love you so much.
as much as I am an old crotchety man, you are an old crotchety lady.
Excellent.
Am I just the grandson you want to get rid of?
Yes.
Good.
Keep feeding you hard candies from my purse.
So, Rachel, how have you
great.
been since the last recording?
I've been great. We went to London and we got to hang out, and that was glorious. I'm
was.
still trying to get over my jet lag.
Really?
I'm still trying to get over not being invited.
You were invited, you just didn't come.
There's not an invite. It's not an inviting situation. It is a ticket purchasing situation.
I know, but tickets being purchased would hurt my bank card.
Precisely. So you can't complain to us.
You don't get to be angry with us that you didn't come.
Fine, I'll be angry at my bank. Screw you, bank.
See, you can be angry at the bank, or always be angry at the institutions that tie us down.
Yep.
Is the best way to live life. But yes,
Speaking of being tied down,
Oh, no.
Any answer to the question?
what a segue that is. As far as I'm concerned, I'm going to take. No. You're leaving the wizard in. You're leaving.
Yeah,
the
but
wizard in.
we're adding a date
A
option.
date option.
Is this like one date or like actually like...
Just one date.
Okay, so I would date the Tin Man. I would fuck the wizard because the only human, and that's the only choice. I would kill the Scarecrow, and I would marry the lion.
I'm honestly like complete opposite.
Well, I need cuddles, and the lion will cuddle with me.
He will do that. That is true. I would date the wizard purely to gain some sort of knowledge. Even though he's a bit of a
Liar?
fake person, a liar, a cheat, but he's kind of interesting. He's got to have an interesting story at least, so we can talk about that on our nice date.
He's Mysterio, basically.
He is. I would marry the Tin Man because he has the biggest heart, and that's the only correct thing to do. I'd kill the lion because I don't want to do that with an animal. And then
Just like have him as a
and then
rug.
the scarecrow, have him as a rug.
You'd make a nice throw rug. Just think, when he gets dirty, you could take him outside and beat him. Sorry,
no, that's
referencing a
awful.
completely different movie.
Jesus, oh god, that was very sexual.
Rachel, now we've got all the animal rights activists on our case, and we don't need to give people a reason not to listen to this show.
Okay, everyone who
Hey,
is
fuck
offended by that
Peter.
statement, go watch The Lion King. It's a quote from The Lion King. Be mad at Disney.
Always been mad at Disney. That is a good way
No,
to live.
I want
I'm
their
mad at
money
Disney
again.
most days.
Oh
No,
no, I
money,
love
money.
Disney.
Of course, everyone loves Disney. No, I'm being serious. I do very much love Disney. Perfectly serious. Disney.
Yay! I will be
Lions.
your shell.
So Morgan, who are you fucking?
The Scarecrow.
The Scarecrow. That's a
Because-
lot of itching.
But also, it's kind of soft.
No, have you ever laid in a bed of straw?
Yeah.
It's itchy.
I've slept in a barn. I'm the reincarnation of Jesus.
What the hell is going
tell
on
me
now?
tell me you got that sound clip. Oh my god.
I can pull the sound clip. I can pull
Okay,
the sound
if you're the
clip.
reincarnation of Jesus, then why do you always ask to go out when we hang out? You can just turn water into wine.
It's because I don't know. Damn it.
I don't believe he drinks wine.
I do drink wine.
Does he drink wine? You do drink wine.
Jesus drinks wine as well.
That makes sense.
Oh, Rachel knows I drink wine.
Oh, we had a 6-hour dinner when we were hanging out, and we drank
You must have been
3
full
bottles of
afterwards.
wine, and it was it 3 or 4?
I think it was only 3 bottles of wine.
I can't
Was that
remember.
just for you?
No,
I
that
just-
was
I
between
just-
3 of us.
I just remember our waiter from Lake Como and
Yeah.
and you breaking the glass at the end of the night.
I did break a glass at the end of the night. Funny thing is, the previous episode that you were on of this is the Singing in the Rain, which has come out also after we were in London. So people are listening to that when we were not in London, even though it's after we were in London. But now they can listen to this when we're recording after we've been to London, so we can talk about being in London.
Our timeline is more screwed up than the X-Men franchise.
It's called pre-recording, guys. Come on, it's a podcast. We have to do it.
Yeah, Nolan, I don't think that that's possible.
No.
Fair enough.
Like,
it isn't.
because we can't go back in time. We can talk about past time.
Yeah, but that was it was definitely a fun night, and it was a very fun trip. Culminating, of course, we were there for the top 10 show with John Roker and Matt Nost, and we made it into a fun weekend, or fun 4 days ish, and yay is all I can say. It was lovely. It was very, very nice. And yeah, I did break a glass at the end of getting drunk in an Italian place. So, Wizard of Oz
Wizard of Oz.
is the movie
Alright.
we're talking about. We are 8 minutes in. Have we even mentioned the title of the movie?
Yes, twice.
Just then.
Talking about people and things we want to marry and kill and...
That's right. It was very true. Nolan, anyway, I don't believe we got your answer to your question.
Oh, fucking hell.
See?
You started this.
Alright, I would probably fuck the Scarecrow, kill the Tin Man,
Why kill the Tin Man?
because I don't know, I feel like it'd be like Skynet, he might turn evil, so I'm saving the human race.
With a scarecrow.
I would date the Cowardly Lion, just have like a nice night of cuddles and steak, maybe. I have a feeling that's what he has. Or he might be a vegetarian, who knows. And I'd probably marry the wizard and get him to change his ways. And just realizing that the wizard is pretty much like Mysterio, that's made me want to see Jake Gyllenhaal play the Wizard of Oz.
He's so pretty.
So, I'd like to go back to I'd like to marry the wizard to make him change his ways.
Yeah, make him stop lying to people.
That is... do you just want to change people? Are we having therapy session right now?
I feel like if I married the wizard, then I could convince him to stop being like a fraud.
I mean, if you're changing people for the better, that's okay.
Yeah.
Wait, are we talking Wizard
I
of
will
Oz
accept
or
that.
Wicked? Because...
we're
Wizard
not-
of
I
Oz.
don't know.
Wicked's a whole other kettle of fish.
Well, technically it's all tied in together. So...
And I'm sure
I
you're
always
more
viewed
familiar
Wicked
with
as
Wicked.
its own thing.
No, I actually... Well, little segue. The book was such a chore to trudge through. Given my love of this movie and this book, I wanted to read Wicked, and I wanted to try and get through it, and it was so hard. I literally put it down for a year and a half because there's like 100 pages describing the landscape from one city to the next, and then the political system in that city, and then, oh, we're walking 10 feet, and oh, here's the next 100 pages description. It was wow. And then the movie.
That's why I can't read a Game of Thrones books pretty well.
I just thumbed through the sex. It's fine.
There's not that much in the books. There's only a little bit.
Then how are they bestsellers?
If you want sex in your books, you know which ones to read.
Nora Roberts. Wait, what?
Oh, I was thinking 50 Shades of Grey, but Nora Roberts is a better example.
Way better example.
50 Shades of Grey is garbage. Do not read that.
I don't really know erotic fiction that well, so...
It is worth less than the paper it is printed on, much like the Daily Mail.
Oh, we're getting political now.
I don't understand that reference, but cool.
This is definitely our most family-friendly episode.
Speaking about one of the most family-friendly movies.
About one of the... Exactly, all the children are coming in, listening to this, saying, oh, Wizard of Oz, yay, we love Wizard of Oz. Actually, I'd like to bring this up first. Isn't Wizard of Oz just one of those movies that kind of everybody just is born knowing?
Yep, it's definitely a household kind of thing. It's also another reason I picked it. It is based off a series of kids' books that I really love. I did see the movie first, obviously. Mm-hmm. But those books, if you just want more of the Wizard of Oz world, they're pretty fun to read.
Although, I will say this, when it first came out, it barely made back the money that it cost to make it. Like,
really?
Yeah, I think it was like $2.8 million to make it. It barely made back what it cost to make it. Mainly because it came out right after the Great Depression ended. Mm-hmm. So not a lot of people had a lot of money to go to movies. But then it wasn't until 54, 56, that it got shown on TV. And that's when it became the cult classic that it is today. So like almost 20 years later, like it literally had to wait 20 years for it to basically become the juggernaut that it is and why it's known so far and wide. So actually my mom it wasn't a big thing when she was born. So she had to wait until she was like 6 or 7.
Sounds a little bit like the namesake for this very show, It's a Wonderful Life, which found its resurgence on TV at Christmas rather than its actual original release. I can only assume that maybe it was just after the Great Depression, but then also what little money people had to spend on going to the movies, they spent that year on Gone with the Wind instead.
Yeah, I have issues with that one.
Yeah.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn about that movie.
I have yet to make it through that movie because I rage so hard against... Oh God, what's her name? I can't even remember.
Scarlet.
Like, I literally just...
I'm sure we've had this discussion. I am certain we have had this discussion on your dislike of Gone with the Wind.
I can't get through it. She's so awful. And she's not a feminist character. She's terrible. If I were alive back in those days and I met that girl, I would punch her in the throat.
So in this family-friendly episode, we've talked about fucking the characters, politics, and punching people in the throat.
Yeah, but it's Scarlett O'Hara, and she wouldn't be able to talk, which is like the best gift ever. The fact that this movie lost the Academy Award for Best Picture to Gone with the Wind is a travesty.
I mean, didn't Wizard of Oz only win like 2 awards, and those were both like musical awards?
Yeah, it was Best Original Song and Best Score.
I mean, they both make sense why the Wizard of Oz would
Was
win
Judy
those.
Garland nominated for this?
I don't believe so.
She should have been. She gives one of the best performances I've seen in a movie, period.
Especially when you go back through everything she had to deal with during the filming. Do you know she was asked to lose 12 pounds?
During...
She weighed nothing.
During her whole life, Judy Garland went through a lot of awful stuff.
Because of this movie.
Because I believe Dorothy in the books is something like 12 or 13, and they wanted to make her look kind of youngish.
Well, originally they wanted Shirley Temple to play the lead.
Okay.
And she wasn't available. She either wasn't available or her agents didn't think that she was right for the role, or that the role wasn't suited to the trajectory that they wanted to put her career on. But basically she didn't want it, and so they got Judy, and oh man, the stuff that girl went through. They put her in a corset so that she would make her look smaller. Like, she's a twig.
Yeah.
There's nothing to her.
Well, all things considered, she did give probably one of the best performances of all time. So she can pretty much, I mean, in her grave or in her ghost can just say, fuck you to those producers.
I'm sure she's saying that to many, 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 many people. I
think that a lot of women that worked back then, I think that's all their ghosts are saying.
Yeah, that's
it's somewhat ironic
true.
that I think the best actor to treat her on that set, like the nicest to her, was probably Margaret Hamilton.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, by all accounts, Margaret Hamilton was a delightful person.
She was a huge fan of the books as well, and that's why she took the role. And Wicked Witch of the West, I've said this before, one of my all-time favorite cinema villains. Did
you know that they had to cut like 80% of her scenes because it was too scary for children, and all I want is for them to find that footage, cut it back together, and re-release it for like the 100th anniversary in like, what, 15 years?
Yeah, not that long.
Yeah.
20 years it will be.
Because I remember she wasn't allowed on like Sesame Street or something because she was too scary.
Like, even without the makeup, and that's so sad to say.
Without the makeup as well.
I'm sure she was a lovely person, but speaking of makeup, this movie is...
Oh, God.
Synonymous. Like, honestly, because of this movie, it made makeup companies make advancements in makeup for stage and screen so that, you know, what happened to the actors wouldn't happen to anyone else. Like,
well, the makeup's poisoning people.
Well, yeah. Well,
it caught fire as well on set, didn't it?
Well, originally Buddy Ebsen was supposed to play the Scarecrow, and then he swapped roles and was supposed to play the Tin Man, but he had a huge allergic reaction to the aluminum dust used in the makeup. Aluminum dust seeping into his pores, and he had to be in the hospital, so he wasn't able to continue the role. And so they had to recast the Tin Man.
To Jack Haley, I believe.
Jack Haley.
Is, who plays Tin Man.
Who, nice little silver lining, no pun intended. Jack Haley's...
Pun definitely intended.
Jack Haley Jr. actually married Eliza Minnelli. And they were married for like 5 years. So... Dorothy's daughter and the Tin Man's son were married. I thought it was just a cute little, nice little tie-in.
And that's why we should marry the Tin Man, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, they only lasted 5 years, so he apparently didn't have that big of a heart. So
look, the original question never determined the length of marriage.
Well,
could have been for one day. Could have been one of those Kim Kardashian and whoever else they married. Who was the short marriage? I don't know pop culture. I'm old.
Well, there was Britney Spears and Jason, her backup dancer, who were married for like 38 hours. Like
them. Let's just say them.
When Britney Spears files divorce papers, does she say, "Oops, I did it again"?
Nolan, that's genius. Well done. Well done, sir.
She should. Honestly, I mean, Lord knows she has a sense of humor about herself.
Just take it all as a joke at this point, Brittany.
I mean, when she shaved her head, I literally lived down the street from that barber shop, and I almost drove
You
down.
heard the razors.
The screaming.
It's got dark so quick.
Oh, Jesus.
Nobody's died. People are just like
Can I mention something quite
walking out
light
of the public
and really...
are scream. Yes, light, fluffy, funny.
One of the main reasons I love this movie so much is because it has probably my favorite original song for a movie, Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
I mean, yeah, it's you can't say anything against this whole movie. You especially can't say anything against any of the music. And Somewhere Over the Rainbow is universally known, universally respected, loved,
Universally played in children's choirs.
and yeah, it's just it
And
is
bars.
it is one of those songs that no human being will ever, or at least as far as I can see, grow up not knowing what it is. You know what it is.
There's that ukulele version of it as well. It's pretty
A
good.
ukulele version.
Yeah, it's so cute. It's sweet.
I can't remember who sang it, but it was a really good cover.
I think I might know actually what you mean. Rachel's just.
I know the
Googling.
singer died, but he did a really nice ukulele version of the song.
I must admit, low key, my favorite song in the
His
whole
name is
movie
Israel?
is
I can't pronounce that last name.
Yeah, he's got a very complicated last name.
He's Hawaiian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of the music, though, like I said, I will say low key, my favorite song in the whole one is the first Munchkin song. The house began to twist or something like that, or whatever.
House began to twitch, and then a switch.
Yeah, it's the best song. It's low-key the best song, and it's never talked about. Yes, you can follow the yellow brick road and say "Ding Dong, the witch is dead" all you want, but that's the real standout of Munchkin Land.
When Margaret Thatcher died, every pub in Scotland was singing Ding Dong.
Again with the politics, Nolan. As much as I kind of agree.
I love the fact that they wrote the songs for, if I only had a brain, and if I only had a heart, and if I only had courage. Like it was like the song. Yeah, the basis of the songs were the exact same for each of the supporting cast, and it was just perfect so that you knew that each of them were in the same boat, and musically and rhythmically it all ties them together and makes them a unit that you instantly care about. It's a light kind of bouncy tune, and it, like, honestly, if you ever meet anybody who's stupid, you will always in your head go, God, if they only had a brain.
Well, the Scarecrow says it best, right? Isn't his quote something like, "Don't you think people with no brains sometimes do an awful lot of talking?"
Yeah. She asks, if you have a brain, how do you talk? And he goes, I don't know. People without a brain do an awful lot of talking, don't you think?
It's like, yes.
And that's
And
yes,
nowadays
Scarecrow.
they do an awful lot of commenting on YouTube videos.
Well, they do a lot of everything, and they really shouldn't.
Oh, Rachel's face just got so sad.
Stupidity makes me so sad.
But the Wizard of Oz doesn't.
No, but the wizard is a little iffy.
Okay. Speaking of the Wizard, should we get this out of the way first? Frank Morgan, Mustache Hall of Fame. Purely for his role as the doorman. Even though he plays about 17 different roles in the movie.
5.
Okay, 5. I over-exaggerated with 17, but yes. Frank Morgan, Mustache Hall of Fame, for his role as the doorman, and also the guy who is I want to say the steward of the wizard.
Yes.
Because both of his and actually also Professor Marvel, who has a nice little groomed mustache as well. So Yay, Frank Morgan.
Yeah, he had Frank Morgan himself is marvelous in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
He is everything you want him to be. And I think that as an adult watching it, you kind of see through the veil of him a little bit more. Rather than as a kid, you're like, oh, he's digging through her basket. He doesn't know what he's doing. And then as an adult, you're like, oh, God. And then you see him as the wizard, and you're like, he's legitimately the same exact guy. And as a kid, you're like, he's the wizard!
Yeah. It's been a while since I watched it before watching it for this. There's the odd little lines that, as a child watching it, and like I said before, I'm sort of born knowing this movie. I don't remember ever not knowing this movie. There's a lot of lines in there that you don't even think about when you're 5, 6 years old, however old you are. But there's stuff now that's just like, oh, okay, that's kind of interesting. The wizards,
like the speaking without having a brain, or
well, exactly, stuff like that. But all the stuff at the end when the wizard's giving out the medal and the heart clock and everything, and actually what he does always registered, but what he says didn't quite used to register, and it gives the wizard a bit more depth to him with the sort of stuff he says, because he is very human, and he as a character has been sort of thrown into this world. As we found out, of course, in Oz the Great and Powerful, that weird sequel that came out in 2013 that nobody really saw.
That movie's really bad.
It's bad, but I still kind of enjoyed it.
I
love anything that gives me backstory. Especially in a world that I love.
It's so weird to see Mila Kunis like chewing the scenery so much.
I love her. Oh, she's so fun in that.
Well,
it's a terrible movie, don't get me wrong, but some of those terrible movies are like just kind of fun to watch and enjoy, like the awfulness of it.
Okay, I get that, but yeah, I just want to make the point of the fact that the wizard definitely came off as way more way more like a real human being rather than this sort of fake wizard that he always came off as. He's just kind of a guy trying to do what he had to do and was sort of thrown into doing because he was declared the wizard as soon as he landed there. So it's just like, well, this is not my doing. I'm just going to try and do something about it. So, yeah, I like Frank Morgan, like you said. I think he's really great and really sort of really fun. He's got those big rosy cheeks that I like, and yeah, he's fun to watch. He's just fun to look at. He fits in this movie very nicely, the way he looks.
Well, he's very much like a grandfather, like uncle type character. Like, always has kind of like everything he says is followed by like a wink. Mm-hmm. It's always very like cheeky and kind of playful. Until the end when he gets serious, and like a lot of kids are like, oh, they got everything they wanted. Yeah. And then like as an adult you're watching it and you're like, oh, this is actually moving.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of way more moving stuff in this movie than you actually used to realise. It's not just the whole imaginative, I had a dream and then woke up from the dream type of story. It is very much a sort of... It's obviously about dreaming for a bit more... whether it's
color,
a bit more colour, literally a bit more colour, glorious Technicolor, I always have to say it, a very early showcase of exactly what Technicolor could do, and that's perfect.
I think this was, especially for its time, the best use of Technicolor. especially for storytelling. But also just because I love the way that, because of the Technicolor, they, I mean, I'm sure you all know this, but they changed the color of the shoes from silver to ruby, so that they could show off things with Technicolor. Actually, her dress that looks blue is actually pink underneath it because it makes the blue pop with the way that they filmed it with the actual like Technicolor aspects to it. So her dress was actually pink and blue and not white and blue, as lots of people believe.
I like that. I did not know that.
Yeah.
I knew about the slippers thing. I didn't know about that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
You find all these fun things when your friends are involved with wardrobe stuff. Like the jacket that Professor Marvel wears was actually L. Frank Baum's.
I saw this. That's really cool.
Yeah, they found it at a thrift shop here in Hollywood, and it had a tag that said L. Baum on it, and apparently a lot of the crew were like, oh, wardrobe put that on there to make it kind of fun. And they, like, to this day, like, even descendants of the wardrobe people are like, no, that's completely true. Like, that's how it came. It's Frank's jacket.
It's very cool. It's very cool. And yeah, I like what you said as well, about the sort of use of colour, because colour is kind of important. It actually means something in this movie. It means something in the story. As soon as you hit Oz and Dorothy's dream world, or everything brightens up and becomes this really colourful, imaginative place where she ends up being, the centre point to it. She is, for lack of a better word, the hero of the whole situation. And obviously at home she feels kind of downtrodden, and Miss Gulch is giving her a hard time, and everything's just getting a bit too much for her. You get somewhere over the rainbow. She goes somewhere over the rainbow. And yeah, you open that door in the farmhouse and all this colour is just bang straight at you. It is perfect.
I think what a lot of people don't contribute the color to is, to me, it means hope for her.
Yeah.
Because that first, 10 minutes of the movie when she's being ignored, like when it's on the farm in Kansas and she's being ignored, and her Aunt May and... Aunt May
and Aunt M.
Sorry.
Aunt May turned into Spider-Man.
I watched Spider-Man a few days ago.
Dorothy turned into Spider-Man for a little minute. That would be very interesting.
I would love a Dorothy Spider-Man.
Let's put Spider-Man in Oz.
I'm just imagining Judy Garland as Spider-Gwen now.
Oh... Somebody draw that up. But at the beginning when her aunt and uncle are, worried about Miss Gulch taking the farm, and they're, getting the chicks in, and everything is just, it's kind of hopeless. And then her dog gets taken, and it's a very sad beginning to a movie that is honestly so uplifting. So when she, finally gets the color in her life, yes, it's beautiful and it's somewhere over the rainbow and it's everything she wanted, but to me there's hope, which is why the evil witch of the Wicked Witch of the West is, doesn't have a lot of color to her. She's green, yes, but she's very black, and the area around her is very desolate and very dark and devoid of color.
Mm-hmm.
Even the uniforms that the flying monkeys and the guards wear aren't bright or flashy. They're very dismal.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
I like that.
So I think that Oz and the rest of Munchkin Land and everything is so colorful just because it shows her that there is hope.
I like that. I definitely love that. Yeah. It's something you don't necessarily think a lot about, again, when you originally watch this movie, but looking back at it, and you learn to sort of, whether it's deep analysis or just sort of a bit more depth into how you process any movie, really. The colour does have this very deep reason behind it. It is such a key part of the movie. And like you said, the witch as well, with the whole the witch's side of things, compared to the rest of Oz, is very devoid of colour. And yeah, I was actually in a stage production of The Wizard of Oz when I was young.
I was so gonna ask.
And
who were you in the stage production?
I played a made-up henchman of the witch.
You were a guard.
Essentially, but he was kind of he had a little more to do than the henchman in this. But I was, of course, part of the evil group.
Naturally.
I had a silver sequin coat. I remember having to wear a silver sequin coat with tails and everything. It was really quite ridiculous. Just a little insight into my backstory. Nolan, are you okay?
I'm fine. Yeah,
You're fine.
I'm just enjoying this.
Were you ever in a production of Wizard of Oz?
I was never in a production of The Wizard of Oz. That's one of the few productions that my schools refused to do.
Refused?
Because I think they did one like right before I joined high school, and then they just didn't do it again.
Now they got to cycle through and.
No, the next couple of ones there were like Oliver and Narnia. I was in Narnia. That wasn't a great experience, but
Why? Who did you
play?
play?
They made a musical of Narnia.
yeah, and it was just really lame.
I can see that. That's harsh.
Rachel's not happy with that at all.
I mean, it's one of those
if they had done The Wizard of Oz, I would have auditioned for the Wizard.
You would have auditioned for the Wizard?
You would make a great lion.
Yeah, I really like that character.
Ah.
Why would I make a great lion?
You give off cowardly lion vibes.
I give off cowardly lion vibes. Also, my brother's in the room and he just said because I'm a hairy bastard. Screw you, William.
In sixth grade, we put on The Wizard of Oz, and I auditioned for, like, it was just like a general audition, but it was like, if you are wanting to do Dorothy, sing this audition song, and if you're wanting to do this person, sing this audition song. And then they ended up moving us around, and I was the Cowardly Lion and Dorothy understudy. And then my role was, I was one of the apple trees.
Oh,
so I got to throw apples, and it was perfect. Like, looking back, I'm like, oh, that was exactly my role.
Oh, the apple trees is such a wonderful scene. It's something you forget about. It's something that passes by so quickly, but I love the fact that there are ridiculously aggressive apple trees in Oz.
They're not aggressive.
They are aggressive.
Picking apples off of them. Those are parts of them.
That's a tree. That's what a tree does.
Imagine if someone came to you, Morgan, and started picking bits of your beard off. That's what the apple trees
People
feel
have done
like.
that. Rachel herself has done that.
No, I've only removed fuzzies. I've never actually picked your beard off. I will pet it, though.
Okay. No. No, I'm completely on the side of Dorothy, I'm afraid. The apple trees are there to be picked. As the apple trees clearly don't care about their apples either, as they start throwing the apples at them. So they just lose the apples anyway. They lose the apples
That's
anyway.
their choice of what to do with them. The least she could have done, once finding that they were sentient, was to ask if she could have apples. But no, she just was, I mean, to be fair, if an apple tree ever started talking to me, I would legit be like, what the hell?
Precisely.
And so she was still in shock, but then she kept trying to, like, tell them that what she was doing was okay.
But also the apple trees were very aggressive right from the word go.
Well, if you had people constantly taking things off of your body, you might be a little testy too. All I'm saying is I understand where they're coming from.
Fair enough.
And that scene leads to us finding the Tin Man.
It does.
Who, in the book, has a heart-wrenching backstory.
I believe it was a very violent
I'm
backstory as
really
well.
not familiar with the book, so you two maybe go into a bit of a book talk right now if you would want to.
Rachel clearly remembers more of it than I do, but I do remember it was quite an upsetting backstory.
He was basically from what I can remember, he was like the worst woodsman ever, and he kept something about an enchanted axe, and he kept chopping off parts of his body and having to replace them with like a tin like appendage.
Oh wow.
And then something about like he was in love with this girl and it was so sweet, and then he ends up like taking his axe to the heart and it cuts his heart out, which is why he's heartless.
Wow.
Children's books back in the days were not children's books. Go back and read the Grimm's fairy tales.
Oh,
horrifying. Oh my god.
The Tin Man was the original RoboCop.
Yeah, basically.
Oh my god.
But not in Detroit. In a much happier place.
But not in Detroit.
Oh my god.
The Wizard of Oz in Detroit. That would be
The Wizard of Detroit. The Wizard of D-Town. Let's do it.
Eminem would be the wizard.
Wait, are we making the Wiz?
Oh no.
No.
Oh, the Wiz is total garbage.
There are parts of it that are enjoyable.
Oh
but
my
98%
god.
of it is incredibly racist and awful.
Oh my god.
But yeah, like if you go back and read the story, I'm sure you can find like the snippet of it online, but it's tragic. Like this guy has had a really rough life, and then he ends up resting into a set position in the forest until some sweet little girl comes along trying to steal apples off of a tree and stumbles across his foot, and then has to use the oil can, which, let's be honest, that oil would not be fresh.
Oh, no, it would not.
To, like, loosen him up. Yeah. Oh, you know when he's crying? Because they couldn't put oil, the oil didn't show up on the screen. He's crying chocolate syrup.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I would like to cry chocolate syrup. It'd be much nicer. It could run into my mouth and I'd just go with my tongue and it'd be perfect. It'd be much better than crying actual tears that don't taste very nice at all.
Yeah, but like, have you ever had sugary stuff in your eyes? Like, it's quite painful.
Not if it was naturally there. And also if you were a Tin Man.
There's a lot of anatomical things we could go into about this, but moving on. Did anybody kind of notice how kind of awful Glinda is?
Awful.
Glinda is the worst.
She's terrible.
I completely agree with this. Oh, she could have got home all along.
Glinda is the
God damn it,
Regina
Glinda.
George of the Wizard of Oz universe.
Where's the Good Witch of the South or whatever you want? Where's she at? She's the only one we don't see. Presumably she exists.
She's on the beach, and technically we don't really see the evil witch of the West.
East.
We see her leg.
Well, she's still there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we just see that she has great choice of socks, but...
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
On point.
Sock game strong Witch of the East. Well done.
Yep.
Glinda reminds me of, when... say when you were a kid and you did something bad and your mum would like hide one of your favorite toys and keep telling you you're getting warmer as you're trying to find it. That's what Glinda is.
But like worse. Like
getting more.
Like I literally I rewatched this movie a few months ago and I was like I need to watch it one more time. So I rewatched it this morning before we did this and I was just like I would hate this woman. She's awful.
Yeah.
First of all, she descends from above in a bubble.
I mean, that's cool.
I've never been tiny, so
it's also
anybody who gets to float in a bubble, I'm just instantly jealous of.
Also it's also especially cool technically wise for 1939.
Absolutely. But she herself is terrible, and she is condescending to the Munchkins.
Oh, she's very condescending to the Munchkins. Oh my god.
I was gonna say she talks down to them, but
again with the jokes. Again with
low hanging fruit.
No, no.
if Wicked Witch of the West is the Voldemort of this story, then Glinda is fucking Umbridge. That's how I see it.
Wow.
Yes. Yes.
Oh my god.
They both
That's
wear awful amounts of terrible shades of pink.
That's such an accurate thing to say. Oh my god.
I want this crossover so hard right now.
I'm gonna have to take
Neville's
a minute.
definitely the Cowardly Lion.
Oh, Neville.
God, that is perfect.
But it means the Cowardly Lion probably grows up to be a very hot lion.
Of course he does. He's a lion. Lions are very attractive creatures.
Yeah, watch Lion King. Hey, Simba.
Jesus
Okay.
Christ.
Hey, Simba was
didn't
not
start
something
it,
I
I just-
think I was gonna say. I was gonna hear. This episode is completely nonsense, and I would not have it any other way. I would not have it any other way.
You know what I've noticed? We barely even talked what the story is about.
Everybody knows the story of
No,
the
we
Wizard
have.
of Oz. Nobody needs to be retold the story of the Wizard of Oz.
Well, I do feel bad for the was it Hank? No, Hunk. Shit, what are their names?
Oh god, yeah. The Tin Man's Hickory.
Yeah, Hickory, Hunk, and
I think.
Zeke. Yeah,
Yeah.
Hickory, Hunk, and Zeke.
What about
First of
them?
all, horrible names. But like, they become the characters that she sees them as, like in her subconscious,
Yeah.
and like from the small amount that you get to see them as, none of them are what she sees them as. Like, they're not. None of them are heartless. None of them are cowardly, and none of them are stupid.
She's a child, though, so it's like looking at through the naive eyes of a kid.
No. Like, I can understand, like, a 5-year-old viewing them like that, but, like, that girl's a teenager. Like,
Some teenagers can be quite petty. I know this because I write them.
But maybe is
Well,
that
true.
Is this not then the bigger point of Dorothy being written as someone who only views people very simply?
Yeah.
well, she is a simple girl
But then that's kind of
who doesn't know how to train her dog not to bite.
I mean, that's true, but it's also kind of like it's something I do not think about very much. And yeah, maybe Dorothy's just written as kind of, I don't know, yeah, blank. Which I guess he's bad, really.
It's
I don't
done
like
that. It's done that way, so I think the audience can sort of put themselves in her shoes.
Yeah, it's why Keanu Reeves is such a great... Okay, first of all, I love Keanu Reeves. Dear God, do I adore
So
him.
we've gone from
But
Dorothy to Keanu Reeves in the space of 3 seconds.
I mean, John Wick also had a dog, so
Well, technically he's had 2. But,
Go.
no, but like any of the the star leads in like an action series, like Harry Potter, I didn't do that. Like Daniel Radcliffe in Harry Potter, he's not very
Good.
he's kind of like a blank slate
Mm-hmm.
because we as human beings have this desire to be seen as the savior. We want to be the heroes. We want to be the one in our lives that is the important one. We're the one. And so if you have, which is why all of the really great lines go to the secondary characters. Like,
Yeah.
if you watch Star Wars, there's not a line in Star Wars. Like, all of the quotable lines in Star Wars are said by somebody other than Luke Skywalker.
I mean, you're not wrong at all. You're never
I would
wrong.
also say maybe
but especially-
film Harry Potter is like that, but book Harry is very different.
Oh no, I'm strictly talking cinema.
In film Harry,
Because
I
you
can
have
see
to be
why.
you have to be able to see yourself in that character. Like, it's the savior complex. And so I think that they were doing that even back then with Dorothy. And she's kind of like,
That's a very, very interesting point. I love you, Rachel. That is so...
Everybody wants to be seen as Dorothy, and everybody wants to be the girl who can save herself and saves a nation, and, you know.
I like that. I really like that. That goes completely against my point of Dorothy just being written as this blank character, but it kind of makes sense now why she is to me.
It's the same kind of thing as like Alice in Wonderland. Can you remember a thing about Alice other than what she goes through?
I mean, Alice has a load of quotes because she's weird. That's why she comes up with all that herself. It's just weird.
Does she have those quotes? Because whenever I reference Alice in Wonderland, it's always the caterpillar, the Cheshire Cat, the Dormouse, the Mad Hatter. Like, it's all of the secondary characters. There's one line that I say that is Alice's, and that's Curiouser and
Yes, I mean, that's exactly what I was thinking.
And that is the one line I reference.
I mean,
Whereas the Cheshire Cat has, "We're all a little mad around here," or "Who are you?"
Which is the best line in the whole thing.
I think we've just found out a recurring theme in children's stories is blank slate characters.
It's the same in every book.
Blank slate central characters surrounded by all these intriguing, deep, cast of characters, secondary characters.
They're basically like this, and this sounds super condescending.
Oh, no.
But they're basically just like a hollow container so that you can come in and take that and be that person.
I get that.
It's like a first-player video game.
Yeah.
You have to be the most important person in the movie. You have to be able to relate to the most important person in the movie. Otherwise, people don't go and see it. Like, they have to be able to relate to it.
Point. I mean, it's a very,
I'm never going to read
point.
books the same way again.
Rachel's changed everyone's minds. For the better. Rachel, it has made us better people.
You've been changed for good?
I've been changed for
good.
good.
I got that reference.
I have gone through a journey in this episode, and could not be in mere 50 minutes. I have changed my entire outlook on life, and it's all down to you, Rachel. This is exactly why I knew you would be wonderful on this show.
And Marty, as much as I love you, I love the fact that Nolan got my Wicked reference.
Yeah, I've not
It made
seen,
me so happy.
I haven't seen Wicked. I don't know the expanded universe of Oz very well.
It's time you start defying gravity, my
What
friend.
is the again? Presume that's a quote, Nolan. I'm sorry, I'm just not. I don't.
Defying Gravity is like the song that you will hear. Like, that's everybody's favorite song from the show. It's the big showstopper. It's like, be our guest in Beauty and the Beast. Beauty and the Beast, and like, I just can't wait to be king in Lion King. Like, it's a big.
Am I annoying everyone now by having no knowledge of Wicked whatsoever?
Well, you will have knowledge of Wicked when the movie adaptation eventually comes
I
out.
won't see that, Nolan. Come on, think about it. I'm not gonna go and see
I
that.
guarantee if they cast someone you like in it, you will be the first one to buy a ticket.
No.
I will say this about Wicked. I've only seen it on stage once because my friend's girlfriend won the lottery for us, and we were front row, which is far too close to see this show from. Like, I didn't realize that there was a dragon above the stage until we came back in from intermission. But the thing that ruined that show for me was the fact that there was an understudy, not Glenda, Elphaba, and then Fiyero it was his first show, and there was no chemistry, and there was a lot of mistakenly bad choices that were made on stage. And then the culminating scene when Elphaba and Fiyero run off and kiss, I literally turned to my friend and I was like, hey, look, it's a girl kissing a gay boy. Like... Which, so nobody gets their panties in a twist, was accurate. He was gay, she was a girl.
But it was very noticeable.
It was, well, working in theater, you understand, like, how to make, like, you see the connections between characters and people, whether the people themselves have a connection or not. Like, it's just this, you have to believe it. You have to be drawn in. Like, any time that Dorothy Gale cries when the Wicked Witch is in her face and telling her that she's going to kill her, and she has to figure out how so that she can, because, killing her is a delicate thing so that she can keep the shoes. Like, that's a scary fucking thing to hear as a kid. And so when she's crying, you believe it.
You do.
Like, she sells it. But, like, when I saw Wicked...
None of that.
I didn't feel it.
That's a shame.
There was no chemistry. There was no magic. So Wicked is kind of like, But I like the backstory that it provides.
I mean, that's kind of a shame.
You've got me thinking of that scene of Dorothy being all alone and crying now, and it's made me sad.
It's very sad.
I just want to give her a hug. Like,
what's your favourite scene of the movie, Nolan? What's your favourite scene? What's your favourite song? What's your favourite... All of that sort of stuff.
I mean, my favourite moment is the first introduction of the Wicked Witch.
Okay.
Like, you know, with the classic line, "I'll get you, my pretty," blah, 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 that stuff. Because I love scenes where they introduce the villain in such a confident way, and that one is a really good one. Favourite song, "Somewhere Over the Rainbow." Another one of my favourite moments, the whole "there's no place like home" thing. I think that's a really cute message.
It is. I find so. I don't know if there's one sort of line in there that's just.
It is also fun when they all become heroin addicts.
Okay.
You mean when Dorothy and the lion become heroin addicts and then
they go in the
Tin
poppy
Man and
fields.
Scarecrow are like, help, help! No one can hear us. It doesn't matter. Help, help! Like.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh god. But yeah, I was gonna say, at the end with the whole "there's no place like home," I do agree that it is kind of ultimately a nice message, but I think there's like one little, and I don't know if it's just one of the lines or whatever it is, which is kind of gave me vibes of. Don't try and be more than, like, it's almost like a don't strive to be more, or don't strive to get out of your current situation, and that sort of a way, as in, maybe that's just my dark interpretation of "there's no place like home." Whereas, it's a case of like, I can't remember exactly what it is, but I don't know why. For a split second, I got sort of a feeling of right at the end of the movie that it was like, be content be content where you are.
Well, I think it's that. I don't think it's like be happy with. I think it's more of like a be happy with what you have.
Yeah, so do I. Ultimately,
not a don't strive for what you want, but. Be happy with what you have.
So do I, ultimately. I was just bringing that up because it was just this sort of split thought that I had. It's not what I think of the movie. It's not what I leave the movie thinking, but...
As somebody who's lived out of a suitcase for 16 years, that whole, like, "there's no place like home" is 100% true for me. Because I've traveled all over the U.S., I've been to different countries in Europe. I've been to Canada and Mexico and all these amazing places, and I got paid to go there, and it was fantastic. But it gets to a point when all you want is your family and your bed and your stuff, and like that is the only thing that is important in the world to you. So that whole like "there's no place like home" is 100% true. But I think that the one thing that really stuck with me, even as like a kid, was when Glenda says, "You've had it within you the whole time."
Mm-hmm.
Like that was the powerful message for me as a child. Was anything you want to do, you can. It's inside of you to be able to do it. You just need to dig deep and find that and figure out how to do that. Sometimes you need help from somebody else, and sometimes they need to tell you how to do it. Yeah. But you have it within you to be able to
definitely,
do it.
And that is definitely something I take from this as well. With the not with just Dorothy either. It's with everybody else. With the Scarecrow always having the brain, but having to sort of come to the realization that he was actually doing something. And the same with the Tin Man and the Lion. You always do have stuff in you that you can do, And going back to this point of there's no place like home, maybe it's just different people's experiences meaning different interpretations of this whole thing. And like I said, it's not this sort of really dark or the really negative thought is not ultimately what I come away with. It is just I don't know if it just crossed my mind as a contrary thing to what the movie is actually trying to say, just because I want to be contrarian. I don't know.
Thankfully, there's no place like Scotland.
Oh, there's no place like Scotland.
No.
There's no place like
I haven't been there, but I know that for a fact.
But yeah, I don't know. I think it's a ultimately
Just
it's a
imagine
really
London,
good
but
message.
more cynical, and that's Scotland.
I can't wait to come visit.
Do you want to go to Scotland?
I would love to go. Are you kidding? Scotland is the land of big men and kilts.
That's
And drinking
I
it.
guess. I
Yeah,
guess it works.
Sign me up.
If you ever come up to Glasgow, I do have a spare room.
I will take you up on that
Cool.
instantly.
I've been trying to get Morgan to come for ages, but I have a feeling he's afraid of Scotland.
I'm afraid of Scotland.
I'll protect you.
I'll come. Yeah, you will. I know you will. I know for a fact you will do that. You just,
Yeah, I give Mama Bear.
as we said
for
before,
all
you
the,
will punch anyone in the throat that comes anywhere near.
For all the shit Scotland gets, pretty progressive country for like LGBT rights and stuff.
That's amazing.
It's the first country in the UK, I think, to do LGBT education in school.
Really?
That's fantastic.
That is
I will say
very
this, speaking
good.
of progressive, there is a line in the movie that legit did not hit me until I watched it this morning. And it's when she meets the Scarecrow and he asks to join her on her journey. And he literally goes, he says, well, I don't have a brain, so I'm not going to try and manage anything. And I'm like, that is such a male response.
Oh,
It's like, oh, you're on your journey? This is all about you? Well, I'm going to come in and I'm going to tell you how to do this.
Oh.
And he has, no pun intended, the state of mind to literally be like, I'm going to come with you, but I'm not going to try and manage it.
And that's because he
also
doesn't have a
very,
brain.
It's also a very straight white male thing to do that without a brain.
No, I find that most straight males with a brain, without a brain, will try it. That's when they try and manage things.
Ugh.
Yeah.
The ones with a brain are like, you know what you're doing. Cool.
Yeah. I
We go get tacos. Like,
did not even think about that. I love that.
like I was gobsmacked. I literally had to pause the movie and like rewind that whole scene and watch it again.
I mean, it is a movie from the 30s, let's be honest.
Scarecrow's a smart
But it
guy.
applies 70 years later, 80 years later. Like, that's amazing.
Scarecrow's a smart guy. He comes out with that, and also a lot of people who don't have a brain do a lot of talking in the space of 3 minutes. He's a smart guy. He's always had it in him, and that is exactly what this movie wants you to know. You can do anything you strive to, and I use that word strive again, knowing full well that Rachel hates me now for even thinking that.
Since you played one of the guards, I'm curious. When I know Wreck-It Ralph did this, but
I wasn't a guard. I was a made-up henchman.
when they go to the castle and they're doing the chant thing, I legit thought for years they were saying Oreos.
Oreos and Yoda. Oreos, Yoda. I always thought that.
It is Oreos and Yoda, actually, isn't it? That is exactly what it is.
Although, have you guys...
I mean, that changes Empire Strikes Back for me now.
I can't remember which special it was, but Robin Williams did this whole thing on how the most important line of the film was given to somebody that was probably the caterer's son, and it was, "You killed her, Dorothy, you killed her." And it's the worst delivered line ever.
It so is. It's so awful.
It's so bad.
That's like when they brought on Ralph Fiennes' nephew to be young Tom Riddle, and he's just a really shit actor.
Wait, which one?
That was the when he played young Tom Riddle
In Half-Blood Prince, when he's
Prince.
like in the
like
orphanage.
11-year-old Tom Riddle.
When he's in the
orphanage. Yeah, that's Ralph Fiennes'
okay.
nephew.
Oh, okay.
He is kind of monotone,
He wasn't.
but
He wasn't that bad.
No.
To be fair, he was a troubled child, so I bought that.
he was nowhere near Witch Guard bad.
No, he wasn't. You killed her, Dorothy. You killed her.
Praise
dead.
Dorothy. The witch is dead. Yay! He's got a
Like,
stupid.
bitch, you have a spear.
He's got a.
Are you telling me that for however long she's been in charge, you didn't accidentally spill liquid on her?
Oh,
What does she do when it rains?
Precisely. Does it never rain in the West?
That castle must be the most fortified and solid castle ever. There are no leaks in that ceiling.
I hope she has a washing spell, because she can't take showers.
What does the witch drink? Does the witch drink people's blood?
She's not a vampire.
Well, she might be. I don't know.
No, she would sparkle then. She wouldn't be green.
That's true. Wine. Probably wine.
Wine. All the wine.
Probably all
I mean, how
the
else do you
wine.
think she made flying monkeys?
Apple.
That's only something that you come up with when you're drunk on wine.
She drinks the apple juice from the trees.
Oh, maybe that's why the trees are so angry.
The trees are so angry because
A woman is squeezing all the juice out of them.
Oh, again.
I love you so dearly.
I'm so happy we got to the X-rated version of It's a Wonderful Podcast, guys. So happy. So happy about this. Both of them are just
All I know is that
creasing
next
themselves
week's is going to
laughing.
be completely different.
I'm just here thinking about how the apple trees might be sad because an evil woman is coming and taking their apples and using them for her apple juice, and you're
You're making it
I'm
worse.
speechless. I'm not making it worse. I am an innocent person. I'm not making it worse. I am not making it any worse.
Something that I do love from The Wicked Witch, though, is just I miss villains who are you can tell Margaret Hamilton knows what kind of movie she's in and how to play it, and
Oh, of course.
have fun with it while still sort of seeming like a threat. I feel like when people try and do the whole campy villain thing nowadays, it just comes off as way too campy, and it doesn't come off as threatening. Most of Jim Carrey's villain roles. But, I don't know.
Lemony Snicket was supposed to be like that, okay?
That's a whole other kettle of fish. I hate Jim Carrey's Count Olaf. That is not Count Olaf from the books. You are not supposed to like Count Olaf. You're supposed to hate him.
I
I will say this about this movie. This is one of the, if not the most widely recognized and beloved musicals of all time.
absolutely is.
Yet, it has never spawned a Tony Award winning Broadway show. It has never, it's gone on tour, but it's everything else around it has failed. This movie is so pristine that, I mean, they've tried to remake it and tried to put spins on it and have not. And I love the fact that whenever anybody talks about doing reboots or remakes, this movie never comes up because it is so wonderful and so perfectly done. But I will say this, if they ever try and do this again, I really want them to I really want it to be more of an adult
Yeah.
spin on it, and I want the viciousness of I want to see the grief and the anger in The Wicked Witch of the West, because that was her sister that got killed. I'm sorry, somebody even talks badly about one of my sisters.
Yeah.
Even if I'm not that particularly close to them, I will go after them. I will end them.
Isn't Return to Oz kind of like that?
What?
Like a more adult version of The Wizard of Oz. Return to Oz is kind of like that.
That thing is... Yeah, but that's not that was so badly done. But that was a return to Oz. I'm talking about like taking
Yeah.
the Wizard of Oz
The story
and
itself.
remaking it for this day and age.
What I mean, where I sort of
I
stand
would
on
give
that,
it to Leica. I'd let it do like an animated version of it from like Leica Studios or something.
that wouldn't be a bad idea at all. I would almost like to see it like hype up the fantasy a bit more, because surely Oz, like I said, I don't have any knowledge of the books or extended lore or whatever. Surely there's more fantasy elements in this world than we see in this movie.
Yeah, but a lot of things that like a lot of family movies or kids movies will show the bright, happy side, and I want to see, because it's literally like for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction.
Yeah.
I want to see the happy, fun time, glorious pixie dust, witches in bubbles era, and I also want to see that opposite of this woman wants to kill this teenager. Like the Wicked Witch of the West wants to kill this teenager.
Yeah.
And that isn't it isn't addressed very much, aside from the one scene where she's like, I have to figure out how to kill you so that the spell doesn't ruin the shoes.
No, I agree with you. I would like to see a darker version. I would just like that darker version to be way more fantastical and
absolutely,
really hype up the fact that this is a completely separate world, a completely separate fantasy world, because I'm all about world building. I love world building. It's weird to me that I've never delved into Oz all that much. Maybe it's because from this movie it's not so fantastical that I'm like, oh, I wonder what is down in the south. It's like, where is that?
A Guillermo del Toro Wizard of Oz would probably be pretty cool.
This is exactly what we need. This is exactly what we need.
gimme. Oh my god.
That is exactly what we need.
Oh, I just picture the trees like that.
Doug Jones
like
plays all of them.
From Pan's Labyrinth with the eyes in his hands. Like, oh.
Yeah.
It would be so fucking scary.
It would work in everything that we've said. Guillermo del Toro would work.
Who's the main actress from Shape of Water again? What's her name?
Oh, God.
Sally Hawkins.
Sally Hawkins.
Could she make a good Wicked Witch of the West?
I don't see her as imposing enough.
No, I think she's a bit too...
As long as they
not
wouldn't do the
intimidating.
predictable thing and cast Angelina Jolie, I'd be down for it.
No, don't do that.
Can we get Angelica Houston?
Yes, do that.
That would be awesome.
Yes, do that.
Like, she proved herself in The Witches, let's just throw her back into it. Because she also has that, like, I don't want the Wicked Witch of the West just to be grotesque. You know? Like, I want the Wicked Witch of the West to, like, be able to, like, toe that line between, like, scary, ugly, and just, like, kind of gorgeous, you know?
This is exactly... I think we're all talking exactly the kind of stuff that Guillermo would put into a Wizard of Oz film. But
I would want an unknown to play Dorothy.
Absolutely.
So not Millie Bobby Brown.
No, God, no.
Who'd be like everyone's pick.
God, no.
No, because Millie Bobby Brown would play her like it would be a Dorothy Gale / Tomb Raider. Like,
Oh, no.
I don't want that in my Dorothy Gale. I want a kid who's scared.
Yeah.
Not who's like calculating how to beat the queen, because that's not Dorothy Gale.
That's fair.
Dorothy just wants to go home.
I think this is a great place to wrap up the episode. I don't want to go on for way too long.
I have so many more ideas.
You can say, okay, well, I'll let you say some more of those ideas, Rachel. Do not worry. I will let you say some more of those ideas.
Now that we started talking, I just want to keep going. I want to get a pitch together. Let's find Guillermo.
Do you know what? Let's finish on that then. Let's finish on a complete pitch of a Guillermo del Toro
I've got
remake
no news for
Wizard
today,
of
so let's
Oz.
do it.
I would also like to point out that the Wizard of Oz itself, this movie, is a remake.
Yeah, it's the 10th remake.
There are so many silent versions of the Wizard of Oz. So many silent versions of the Wizard of Oz, none of which I've ever cared to watch. I don't need to. This is what we need. But why the hell don't we finish this episode and come up with an entire pitch? We have Nolan here, who is a storyteller. We have Rachel, who knows what she's talking about. And we have me, who's going to come in and say, yeah, sounds good. I'll act as the studio head. And,
why am I thinking in my head Michael Shannon is the wizard?
Ooh, that would be fantastic.
Because they've done the tortured artist thing with the wizard with Franco already, so I'm thinking, like, do a sort of creepy-esque circus sky kind of thing.
I don't want creepy, I want kind of despondent. Like he's given up trying to go home. He has accepted his sad fate of living here and is kind of upset with himself and angry with himself that he created this character that he now has to live as for the rest of his life because he realizes he can't get home.
Sweet. So Michael Shannon it is.
Yeah. I'm good for this.
I am as the studio head. I am happy with that. As long as you could have said anyone that wasn't James Franco, and I would have been happy with that, because clearly that movie didn't work.
Although James might not be a bad pick for the Scarecrow.
I could see that.
I do not want James Franco
Like,
in my...
he may not be the best pick, but he's not a terrible
As a studio head, I do not want James Franco in my movie as the Scarecrow.
I would go for Donald Glover as the Cowardly Lion.
As the studio head, I would accept Donald Glover as the Cowardly Lion.
The Tin
I'd rather
Man.
see him as the Tin Man. But I kind of want the Tin Man to be a little cruel. I want him to not just be like sad and heartless. I want him to have like a little bit of cruelty in him.
As a studio head who wants this darker version of The Wizard of Oz, I am happy with the cruelness of the Tin Man.
Cruel Tin Man. Who's cruel and has got really steely eyes?
Steely eyes. Metal joke. Haha.
Can we get Ryan Gosling as the Tin Man?
As the studio head, Ryan Gosling is far too expensive for this movie. We are spending all of the budget on the effects.
I mean, after First Man, I could see Ryan Gosling being sort of stoic and cruel Tin Man.
Have you not seen Drive?
Drive, you want that cruel? You want the Tin Man to like smash someone's skull in the elevator?
As the studio head, I am uncomfortable with Ryan Gosling smashing someone's skull in The Wizard of Oz.
First of all, Ryan Gosling in Drive wasn't cruel. He was methodical and defensive. He wasn't cruel. He didn't have that, like, it was more of like he was being attacked and he was defending himself and the people around.
As the studio head, I disregard Ryan Gosling as the Tin Man. He's too expensive, Rachel.
Still saying he would make an amazing Tin Man.
I love how Rachel's just looking through her movies, just trying to decide who should be what.
I am.
Do we not have dead air?
Instead of James Franco, can I throw in Andrew Garfield as the Scarecrow?
Ooh.
As the studio head, I am not displeased with Andrew Garfield as the Scarecrow. He does look like a scarecrow anyway.
Or just get Timothée Chalamet.
No, Timothée Chalamet is exempt from the whole movie. He's way too pretty and looks like a triangle.
He can be Toto then.
No, we have to get an actual dog.
No, we actually need a dog for Toto.
We can also... I am not opposed to having Toto speak in a very weird one of those, like, what are they, like Air Buds movies?
Oh,
where the dog's mouth
CGI
speaks
dogs.
really weirdly. No CGI dog. Real dog with CGI mouth. I want one of those.
How about Donald Glover for the Tin Man, and Tyler Labine for the Cowardly Lion?
I gotta see. I know the name Tyler Labine. I can't remember what he's in.
He's the dude.
He was in Dale and Tucker vs. Evil. He was in what was the movie that just came out in January?
Oh, I don't know, but I know him from Tucker and Dale vs. Evil.
Let me see. He's got the look. Oh, I know him. Yeah,
I am.
I know him from that show Reaper.
Yes.
I am not opposed to that casting, and like the fact that you are finding a way of keeping Donald Glover in there, as this studio really needs a movie to succeed, and Donald Glover will do that for us.
And we also need a diverse cast.
And we also need a diverse cast because
I don't think it survives.
this studio is severely in need of a piece of some diversity. Our last 5 movies all starred white men, and they were just remakes of 12 Angry Men called 13 Angry Men, 14 Angry Men, and 28 Angry Men.
I know who needs to play Glinda.
Who?
Aisha Tyler.
I am
down
absolutely
for
up for Aisha Tyler playing Glinda. This studio, as the studio head, I am accepting that casting.
She'd be so good.
Although we've determined that Glinda is a horrible person, and I'm not quite sure conveying Aisha Tyler as a horrible person. I'm not quite sure if I'm happy with that.
Well, we're saying
As
that
the studio
Glinda
head, as the studio head.
We're saying that Glinda in The Wizard of Oz that was made in 1939 was a horrible person. We can make her whatever we want her to be. I mean, I don't want her to be, like, super sticky, saccharine sweet. Unless she's, like, got that edge to her, you know?
Thank you.
Aisha could totally bring.
Thank you, filmmaker, for clarifying your decision. As the studio head, I am very happy.
Doug Jones needs to be in there
Of course
somehow.
he does. Doug Jones
needs to play the trees.
Doug Jones
Yeah,
can
he
absolutely
plays.
play the trees. As the studio
All
head,
of
I'm
the
very
trees.
happy with that.
Yeah. Yeah. I also kind of want, oh my god, what's her name? She was the lead in Crazy Rich Asians.
Constance Wu.
I want her in there somewhere. Whether she's playing like a new character or she
I think we create a new character
yeah.
for Constance Wu
or
to
pull
play.
one from the book.
Or pull one from
Because
the book, which,
has so many characters.
as the studio head, I'm giving you creative freedom when it comes to doing what you want with the book because I know nothing about it. As
If
the
we're
studio
bringing in
head.
Constance Wu, we should also bring in Henry Golding because he's charming and should be in everything.
Henry Golding can
and then I
play
get to stare at
the
him
wizard.
all the time. I'm all for this. He's so handsome.
Henry Golding can play the wizard. Did we find a cast for the wizard?
Yeah.
We thought Michael Shannon.
Oh yes, that's right. Henry Golding can play the stagecoach driver in the Emerald City whose horse changes colour.
Wait, who did we decide was going to be the Scarecrow?
We threw out Andrew Garfield, Tyler Levine.
Andrew Garfield.
Can we put Golding instead?
Yeah, sure.
He's too handsome.
Yeah, but it's Guillermo del Toro. So he won't be.
That's true. We could creep up Henry Golding.
We absolutely should creep up Henry Golding.
We can do that. As the studio head, I'm happy with making Henry Golding.
In a simple favor, he is kind of creepy.
As the studio head, I have not seen A Simple Favor because it was made by a rival studio and I didn't want to give them money. As the studio head.
I'll send you a copy.
Thank you. Did we find a cast for the witch?
Which one?
We said Angelica Houston.
Oh, Angelica Houston, of course.
For Wicked Witch of the West.
And now, what is the basic story? What are the changes that you are making to this story to make it darker? And then this pitch, I'm afraid, will be over as I have another meeting as the studio head.
Well, there has to be a scene where the witch literally makes Dorothy cry, and it's like the actual actress is crying.
Yeah. I want to see the witch, like, torture Dorothy. Like, it has to happen. There has to be a brutality to her. And I also want to see the Wicked Witch of the West as a almost relatable character in, like, I want flashbacks to the Wicked Witch of the West and the Wicked Witch of the East growing up, like, as, like, best friends, like, ride or dies. And then having that all ripped away from her, you can see the madness and the vindictiveness and the evil creep into her and make her just want to destroy this child that did this to her.
So she's both sympathetic and delightfully evil.
But, like, I want her to take the evil to a point where you can't relate to her anymore. I want her to become a villain that you cannot find sympathetic.
Okay, I'm down for this.
As the studio head, I am very happy with everything that's being said. Go picture.
Yeah!
Congratulations.
Where's my millions?
Here is your money. Please take the money. Please take a total of, considering the movie will have considerable effects, please take 2 years and make this movie. Congrats.
2021, here we come.
Congratulations. I would like a October release date.
Okay.
All right.
Yay! What a wonderful way to end the episode.
We're gonna be millionaires!
In the world
we can build our own Emerald City.
You can build your own Emerald
literal
City.
emeralds.
I wouldn't recommend doing that. It wouldn't end well, and you'd probably be blind by the end of it. Emeralds are way too shiny. Unless you're
And I bump into things, so I would just end up getting cut up like crazy.
breaking all the emeralds, then you'd have to pay for them.
Getting cut. They cut you.
Yeah, you don't want to. I don't want you to be broken either, though. So
Let's just paint all our bricks yellow and call it a night.
yeah, guys. Thank you very much for listening to this extra specially long, wonderful, X-rated, and whatever the hell it turned into episode of It's a Wonderful Podcast. Talking the Wizard of Oz. What number episode are we on now? I want to say 47. I like the number. I don't know if it's 47. That's why I only want to say 47. I don't know.
What do I say every week, Morgan? Maths is boring.
Maths might be boring, but organisation is not. It's very true. It's very true. It's very true. Yay, Marie Kondo. Yes, the tidying up woman. I know things. I know pop culture as the studio head. Yeah, find the show, guys, on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on Podbean, Stitcher, Castbox, various other podcast providers. Find the show on Twitter at It's a Wonderful One with the number 1. Find me on Twitter at the Purple Dom with a 3 instead of the E in the, because 3 is the magic number. Find Nolan
at NolanDean27 and on YouTube at NolanDean, where the How to Train Your Dragon edition of Stories as Lessons is currently being edited. It is looking to be at least 25 minutes long.
So it will definitely be up for watching when this episode airs.
Hopefully.
I would think it would be. Rachel, where can everybody find you? What are you getting up to?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at RM Silvestrini. I will be tagged in the post, hopefully.
You will.
Just follow me there.
You will, to see all the wonderful stuff that Rachel does. And
all my adventures.
All your adventures. Adventures that we are all very interested to follow for the rest of our lives. Guys, thank you for listening to this episode of It's a Wonderful Podcast. Do all that fun stuff. Share the episode around, subscribe to the feed and download. And hopefully you enjoyed this episode. It's longer than usual. It's got weird and I'm all about it. Rachel, we're going to have you back next week for Paint Your Wagon, starring Clint Eastwood, which is it's a movie I'm looking forward to seeing. Just going to say that. It's a movie I'm looking forward to seeing, and you are very excited for that. We let you pick your own specially one. We let you pick your own special movie because you have been so good to us during Musical March, and you chose that one. So look out for that next week, guys. And yeah, until then, Nolan, you know what you have to do. You have to see us out.
There's no place like home unless you're in Scotland. Bye, guys.
Bye.